Okay, people, it's the last installment of straight men versus bisexual men. Okay, just to clear up a few things since we're on the last one. I'm saying in the last video, if there were three girls in the corner and one of them was a tranny, right? A tranny, as far as I'm concerned, is me putting on a dress. I'd be classed as a tranny. So no, I wasn't talking about trannies. I was talking about there's certain women out there. Yeah, for example, like in Thailand, for example. This is what I meant is transgendered women. Okay, if a man's attracted to a transgendered woman, it's not the end of the world. Okay, there's women in Thailand that have had the surgery, so they're basically transitioned. They've had the surgery, they've transitioned, they've had the hormones, they've had the voice coaching, they've gone the whole 9 yards, and they basically look as good as a supermodel. Okay, if I walked into a bar and three of those women were there, and say one of them was, I wouldn't I wouldn't stab myself in the eye with a pen or a knife or whatever, or beat myself up because one of them looked attractive and I was attracted to that person. However, it would be in my eyes odd or very strange or out of character if I chose to then try to pursue that and leave the club with that, knowing that was a what I would class, let me clarify it because the last video is going a little too fast, what I would class as a man. Okay, other people may see it differently, that's fine, but I'm telling you that I would class it personally, I would class it still as a man, regardless of how good the operation was down there, and regardless how beautiful that person looked. Okay, one thing I want to let people understand, make people understand, is that if we go, last year there was a program called Big Brother, and one thing I noticed about last year on Big Brother is that the women were wearing so much makeup that they looked like trannies or transgendered women. They basically looked like men in drag. That's how much weight, and these women were beautiful. Okay, still attractive, but you could tell it was a woman, but it was like it was wearing so much makeup that it was too much. They looked like men. Okay, so that's the point I was making. Like in the last video, I'm saying trannies and all of that. Not trannies. I've never been attracted to trannies. In fact, I can even go as far as to say I've never been attracted to transgenders. But it wouldn't be the end of the world if I was. That's the point I'm trying to make. Okay, just to clarify that. Some of my friends actually have been on. One of my friends, and this is something I want to discuss. One of my friends actually went on a date with a transgendered person, and they kind of figured it out. They had a couple of drinks. You know, they didn't suddenly lose it and say, what are you doing now? They didn't lose it or anything like that. They had a couple of drinks with the person, said, thank you, I'm not interested in that, and they moved on. I was on a site called Tagged, and this is another purpose for this video. I was on a site called Tagged, and I've had a few transgendered women come through, and some of them did look attractive. Some of them did look female. But I've never ever, there's only one out of like 100 times that I've got it wrong, where I've looked at a picture and genuinely couldn't figure it out that they were previously men, whatever. It's only once that I've got it wrong. Never got it wrong face to face in public. The only time I got it wrong was on Jerry Springer, where one person really 100% had me fooled. But a few of them did come through and Tagged, and one or two of them came through and said hi, and I was like, hi, how you doing? And in fact, this is when I was on the NoFap actually, that the person came through, and I checked out the profile, and and I remember this is at another time as well, and this is going back to this video about broken. We'll get into the fragile mind in a minute, but I was fragile at the time, so I actually gave it the time of day by looking at the photos. And I then sent a message saying, you look really good, to be honest with you. You look really good as a female and everything else, but unfortunately I'm into women. I'm into real women, unfortunately. And then they sent me a message back saying, yeah, but I am a real woman. I've had the operation, but regardless of whether that person had the operation, as far as I'm concerned, it was still a man. It was still a man. There's some people out there that have gone as far as to receive oral sex from transgendered or trannies, even certain men that have even gone as far as to have oral sex from a gay person, and then try to claim that, wait a minute here, it's not, I'm not gay because I didn't participate in any kind of sex or this or that. You've allowed another man to give you oral. That, as far as I'm concerned, that's classed as bisexuality. Now, if a straight man is somehow, maybe he's drunk, maybe he's a case of where he's just half broken, so he's half desperate, half broken. And what I mean by that is he hasn't had it in a long time. He's gone to a club, he's drunk, there's something that he's not sure about, but he said to himself, it's not the end of the world anyway, and he's engaged in something like that. I'm not here to judge a person like that, but what I would say to that person is, remove the memory from your mind and don't do it again. That's what I would say to the person. Because if someone like that I knew done that twice, where they've gone out there and they've engaged in something like that, where they're not so sure, because the person might talk funny, or the person might look like they had an Adam's apple or whatever, something suspect, and they've done it more than one occasion, that to me is bisexuality. You can't come back from that. Okay, but for men that have engaged in it once, maybe they were desperate, so they didn't really take notice, or they weren't really bothered at the time. They just done it. They woke up the next day, they never see the person again, but it's a maybe. I'd say to you, don't engage in something like that again. If for people out there that a straight man that's received oral from a gay person, as far as I'm concerned, you're 100% bisexual. There's no confusion about it. And there are men out there. There's a program called There's Something About Muriel. There's Something About Muriel, and one of the guys on the show was around many other men. There's Something About Muriel. Let me quickly go into it. It was about I can't remember what channel it was. It was about 7 or 8 Caucasian white men, and they tried to win over this woman, okay, and at the end of the show they discovered that the woman was actually a transgendered man, okay, but some of them knew, but one of them jokingly in the show, somewhere halfway in the show, turned around and said, well, even if it was, men give the best head, and he was indicating that he's had sex from a gay person but still classed himself as straight. You're not straight, you're bisexual, gay. Let's just clear that up. Right, let's get into, we've covered a few. Right, so how can a person be broken? Right, that's what we're going to get into. We've got about 6 minutes to describe it. So if we look at some of the celebs in Hollywood, they become so powerful, they become so isolated from the outside world, outside community, that they believe that they are like gods. I watched the movie on Alexander the Great, and Alexander the Great conquered many places, and it became so easy for him to conquer because his army was so powerful and strong and everything else, that it got to a point that he almost started to engage, well, he didn't start to engage in it, he was engaging in homosexuality, because as far as he was concerned, he was God. He was willing, he was able to write the rules whenever he wanted. And there were certain men around him that were really attracted and everything else, and he said, well, why not? Why can't I do it? I am God, And there's certain rappers out there, I believe, that it's the same thing. They've had sex with so many beautiful women. I mean, any women. I mean, women with shapes, and they've had too much of a good thing. And maybe they've gone to some sort of Hollywood party and they've been given drugs, which will bring me on to my next one. They've been given drugs, or maybe some of them haven't been given drugs, and they've said to themselves, well, why not? That's basically what they've said to themselves. Why not try? You know, I'm untouchable. I can have anything I want. I've never tried this before, so let me try it. So now what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to explain to some transgendered women out there how it's possible for certain straight men to suddenly switch to the other side. So this would boil down to the God complex. That's how a straight man can go from being straight to bisexual, if he's got that kind of God complex, untouchable. Second, like I'd mentioned, was drugs. You can break a mind, or a mind can become fragile or open through drugs. If you're taking mind altering drugs, okay, that may change your perception of things. It may also cause you to be easily stimulated by things like ecstasy tablets and things like that. They can take you out of your normal thinking, and may even cause you to engage in sex with the same sex. Really, drugs are that powerful. The higher up the ladder, like A class, the more higher up the ladder it is, the more likelihood of it happening, because you're not really going to engage in something like that on something like marijuana. Marijuana ain't going to cause you to become gay, but something like you being addicted to, say, heroin or cocaine or whatever, those kind of drugs where you've totally lost it, would possibly cause you, because the mind is now broken, it's become fragile. We've seen how heroin addicts end up. We've seen it for our own two eyes. They're not in their normal state of mind, so their mind has become broken. Another thing would be loneliness. You know, when we go back to my previous example in the last video of the guy that was with he was watching tranny porn. Loneliness can cause you to do the most stupidest of things. Loneliness can cause your mind to be fragile. Okay, if you to isolate a man and take him away, especially if that man isn't used to it, if he's not used to loneliness. Some of us can handle it, you know. I'm alright with loneliness. I'm okay. I can deal with it. Some of us can't. And if you're a person that can't deal with loneliness, then you can become broken or fragile. And when you're fragile, things like tranny porn, or you may have a handsome friend that comes round, or attractive friend or male friend, and maybe they're behaving like a female, and maybe this attractive male friend is not only is he behaving like a female, but he understands everything about you. He's so caring towards you. He's never rude towards you. He'll get you a cup of tea. He'll cook you food. He's doing all of these things for you. He's behaving like a woman, but thinking like a man. And because of that loneliness has caused you to be broken, you then end up going from straight to bisexuality. And the second thing I'm going to describe is this relates to what I just said, which is hurt. Okay, another thing is, if you've been broken, there's some men out there that have been broken by women. I described this in my MGTOW video, where women have done them real bad. You know, there's some, you know, when I was younger, like I said in my MGTOW video, I never believed that a woman could be in a relationship with a guy and hurt him. I knew that there was such thing as a bad woman when I was younger. I never believed that however, that a woman would be in a relationship with a man and try to hurt him, because whatever woman I was in a relationship with, if she said to me jump, I would say hi. I would do whatever it took to make that woman happy. And but yet there are certain women out there who will get into a relationship with men strictly to hurt them, and by the time the man's figured it out, he may even be bruised or in a wheelchair, or you know, he could, there's a possibility, I could speak on forever on how many ways where not a broken woman, but what's the word, there's a saying for it, a woman scorned. Yeah, they have another word for it on the internet. I can't remember what the word is, but a woman that's angry, that wants to hurt men. Okay, especially if they look innocent and beautiful, those are the worst ones to look out for. I happen to be in a relationship with a woman like that, and trust me, there's no way of explaining it, but you know, she put a lot of hurt on me, and it's understandable how that last scenario, when I was saying to a man that was hurt and that gay friend comes around, it's understandable how he then may through his mind being broken or fragile, end up blah blah blah. The second one is, as we all know, incarceration. There's certain men that are doing a life sentence in prison. They know they're not getting out, and the way they look at it is that provided they're not the victim, provided they're the perpetrator and not the victim, then they're straight. Okay, provided they effeminize their victims, then they're still men. You know, they will try to dress their victims up. Well, first of all, they'll rape a person, and then they'll try to dress the person up as a female in order to somehow mask the fact that they have now become bisexual. Okay, they try to lie to themselves. But again, that would be the combination of all. This can be a combination of all of the above. It can be a combination of the God complex. It could be a combination of carceration leading to loneliness. It can be a carceration of drugs if there is drugs in the prison. It can be and it could be a combination of being hurt as well. All of those things there is a deadly cocktail for something like prison. Okay, can cause a straight man to suddenly become bisexual. Okay, so I hope that kind of clears it up for some of the transgender people out there. Don't take offense to some of the things that I'm saying. I'm being honest with you, and the first video just me kind of joking around, but I hope you kind of get the gist of the fact that there's no such thing as a straight guy. It would be a straight guy that's broken, and once he put his foot into that kind of world, he is now classed as bisexual. And for those that have become bisexual, I don't know what to say, but it's not the end of the world, you know. You don't have to walk around preaching to people you're bisexual anyway. There's a lot of people living a double lifestyle. No one gives a rat's ass, really. But just know that you and I both know you can't be turned on by a dude with a penis or whatever and then suddenly go back to being straight. Okay, I'm not going to get into the whole vagina sex operation thing, because do you basically, but this is just my opinion. Anyway, peace out, thanks for watching.